Beauty is its proprietary.
From Fox 8, your weather authority, this is a severe weather update. Sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency. Family to family, business to business since 1954.
Welcome back again. As expected, we had that second area of rotation. If you were with me just a few moments ago, you poor folks in Madisonville keep getting woken up. We continue to have a water spout situation kind of coming inland. And as that water spout comes inland, the problem that we're seeing is that there is some rotation. I was keeping an eye on some strong winds near Luling and Hahnville. That is not where this storm is. The storm that is in question here had a nice little hook on it as it was coming through. Here we go. As it was coming inland, they're just west of Madisonville, kind of between the western side of Madisonville, just east of Beatico. A little bit of lightning associated with this, maybe 4 strikes total in this storm. So not a lot of Mother Nature's wake-up call for you. But again, Madisonville falls into this tornado warning. This is a different storm, but another very similar one where I expect, if we look at the shear path, let me show you. This was storm number 1. It came inland, it weakened. Storm number 2 producing a little more shear as it's coming inland. And again, we hope this one weakens, but what it looks like to me is a water spout coming inland. I want to look at those velocity values real quick. This one has a nicer couplet to it. Looking at some of these values, a little more concerning looking to me. I'm seeing possibly some shear of up to 70 or 80 miles per hour. Yeah, so that is a little more concerning. And this tornado warning will go through 3:15. So right now, this is still moving inland. You can see here's Grand Rue, Point St. Louis. This is the road that I was talking about earlier. Lafitte Place, or Place Lafitte, is a road that comes off of that, very close to the center of rotation here. But largely this rotation is coming in a pretty good area. This is west of 1077. This is 1077 here. So then if you look just west of 1077, here's where that rotation is that could be producing that tornado that we're talking about. Again, to me, most likely a water spout coming inland. The last one weakened almost immediately as it reached land. My hope is that this one does the same. However, this one is coming inland a little bit stronger. So some pretty strong winds expected in this neighborhood there. I see South Chenier Road, again, Gusty Island Road, or Gusty Island Road, and Grand Rue Port St. Louis Road. If you're familiar with any of those or you live near any of those, I would suggest you getting in your safe place. It looks as though this rotation is just east of you, but let's get a little more information from Viper right now. Viper tracking the storm moving north. I don't think it's going to hold together that long, but I do want to see, just rolling back, how this storm developed. It actually appears to have been increasing in strength. So watch that little area of red and green. That's what we're looking at as this rolls forward slowly. Appears to be getting a little brighter, right? Those brighter colors indicate to me stronger winds moving toward or away from the radar. So possibly indicating some stronger rotation, some stronger wind there. Excuse me while I grab a sip of water. For folks there in Madisonville, I think it's a good idea to be away from windows at this time. Again, looking at the storm relative velocity, this is a tool I use sometimes to see how the area of rotation may be being enhanced by the potential movement of the storm. So taking a look here, I'm seeing some pretty strong winds with this velocity couplet. Yes, I believe it was a water spout coming inland. It does not appear to be the same situation that we had earlier. Again, there were 2 storms. So for anybody who's trying to keep up, maybe you've gotten woken up twice now and you're like, what is going on? There was one sort of weaker area of rotation. This red area indicates moderate rotation. That certainly piques our interest. I'll tell you, when we had that EF0 tornado, certainly took down some trees, caused some power outages, and caused some big problems across the city of New Orleans in our Carrollton neighborhoods and Algiers neighborhoods. we were seeing this same sort of red rotation. Now, it didn't come off the lake. It was a little bit of a different situation, enhanced by that strong line of winds, but similar rotation path. Notice this was storm number 1, and as it came inland, nothing. You don't see any more of that red as it moved inland. We are still seeing some rotation as storm number 2 is moving inland, and I'm seeing velocity values that indicate to me excuse me, velocity values that indicate to me we do have certainly some potential strong winds and tornadoes there, or strong wind and tornado moving inland. Again, this is just now kind of crossing that threshold of Lake Pontchartrain moving inland. This is going to be just east of Tangipahoa Parish's line. So this is in St. Tammany. It appears that we are also seeing a flood warning being issued. So let's go ahead and click see where that is. If I can, it appears that flood warning is going to be for that Luling area, and that was the other area that I was watching. High wind warning is also in effect, but I do want to step off real quick to show you Viper once again, because I think it's important that we keep an eye on that tornado moving into western St. Tammany Parish right now. And we're seeing some even stronger rotation, guys. This could be a pretty serious situation. Thankfully, it appears to be moving into an area that is less populated, possibly kind of between those populated areas, but moving toward, just to give you an idea, moving toward Highway 22 here. This is Highway 22, folks along Trapner Road. Apologize for any mispronunciations. I really just want folks to be safe here. I see, looks like State Island Road or Gust Island Road. I apologize. This is the area I'm most concerned about. This appears to be Old Pontchartrain Highway, Highway 22, near Twin Oaks. Those are going to be the areas that need to be getting in their safe place right now. Again, we had this brief area as this storm came inland where we really saw things ramp up. Again, getting into that yellow is a very strong shear, and those velocity values still maintaining some level of strong shear. So this is the point where it looked the strongest to me right as it was coming inland. It still appears strong enough to do some damage as it does continue moving inland. My concern here, initially moving into a fairly unpopulated area, but quickly approaching Highway 22 near Cope Road, Ironwood Drive, Sandy Brook Circle, Twin Oaks Lane. Just shouting out a couple of things here for you. If you know anyone, if you're watching this morning and you know somebody who may be excuse me, if you know someone who may be in these areas, it's a good idea to go ahead and give them a call, because we are certainly seeing some very strong winds, the likes of or similar to what I saw just last week in New Orleans when we had that EF0 tornado. So EF0 can certainly do some damage. I am seeing strong winds. If I look at my storm relative velocity, this is a tool I can use to kind of get a look. It's looking like over 60 mile per hour shear at this point. That is some very strong winds. That could crack some trees. That could cause some power outages, crack some power lines. So folks in this area, please stay indoors. Again, this likely began as a strong water spout and is now moving inland. This tornado warning is expected to go through 3:15. So we have another 15 minutes to continue watching this. I believe that this tornado warning is a bit more serious than the last one that we saw. The last one was also a water spout coming inland, but not producing as strong of winds and weakened upon moving inland. I expect this one will weaken as well, but for now, it is likely approaching Highway 22. Again, this just to zoom out and give you an idea on the bigger picture. This is right in the northwestern portion of Madisonville, or heading that way right where Highway 22 comes through from Madisonville to Beatico. If you live between Madisonville and Beatico on Highway 22 or just off of it, you need to be in your safe place right now. We are going to continue to see this crossing, and you have to keep in mind radar has gotten really good and it is nearly live for us, but it is likely that this storm is actually a little bit ahead of our last radar scan. So keeping that in mind, I suspect that this could be in the vicinity of Highway 22 between Madisonville and Beatico. It will be making its way toward I-12. So if you live between Highway 22 and I-12 on the northern side of Madisonville, you also should be getting to your safe place. This warrants waking the kids up. Unfortunately, trust me, as a mom, I know what a serious thing that is to wake the kids up and get them into the hallway or into a bathroom or a closet to ensure their safety. But again, the speeds I'm seeing on this are comparable to some of the speeds that I saw with that EF0 tornado that we saw in New Orleans East. So that's just something in recent memory. You saw the damage. We covered it all throughout the morning in New Orleans. That is the sort of situation that I'm seeing here. Our latest radar scan putting this right over Highway 22. This is west of Highway 21. For the record, this is west of Highway 21, but again, it looks like we're right near Cope Road, right near Black River Drive, Helen Drive. If you are near any of these roads, Dummy Line Road, Old Pontchartrain Highway, which is Highway 22, if you're near any of these roads, you need to be in your safe place. That means indoors, away from windows, and in a secure spot like a hallway, somewhere away from windows on the first floor, a closet, a bathroom. Those are all great spots to be. So let's zoom back out here again, just to give you the big picture, because I shouted out a few roads, but if I didn't say your road, I want you to still be aware of where this is so you can take shelter. If you are near Highway 22, between Madisonville and Beatico, you need to be in your safe place right now. This storm will be approaching I-12. I don't recommend anybody getting on I-12 in that area right now. That would be the area between, say, Madisonville heading toward Hammond or vice versa. Basically near the Goodby area, Beatico, Madisonville. Those are the areas I'm most concerned with right now. Our shear rate is still producing some shear, some moderate shear here right along Highway 22. Again, this is kind of going right through those neighborhoods, and I really hope that folks there are taking this seriously because we are seeing some pretty strong winds with this right now. So I will admit that it appears that it has weakened some, but not enough for my level of comfort. You can tell in the last, here's the strongest frame that I see. There's just west of Madisonville. This was this was at 2:55 a.m. So here we are at 3:03. Moving forward, you see how those colors are a little less bright and a little more widespread, maybe indicating some broadening. Let's go forward again. Let's get up to real time here. Now we're at 3:03 this morning. And again, those greens not as bright, those reds still indicating strong winds moving away from the radar. But our storm relative velocity takes into account also the motion of the storm, or takes out of account the motion of the storm. We're still seeing 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. That alone is going to knock some stuff over on the patio. That alone is going to be a problem. So looking back at my base velocity to get kind of that shear, not a whole lot of inbound wind toward the radar, but we're certainly seeing those outbound winds. And right now, this is really interesting. I'm seeing 37 miles per hour on our regular velocity product. That tells me that those winds are about 37 miles per hour just at their baseline. However, you factor in the motion of the storm, and I was seeing winds more in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range. So the motion of the storm enhancing those winds. There's a 54 mile per hour. Again, this looks the same, but to me, it is a slightly different product. This tornado detection product that I'm showing you takes into account the storm motion. The last one that I was showing you does not. And so you can see that we go from about 40 miles per hour of wind to over 50 miles per hour of wind. And the difference there is taking into account how fast that storm is moving toward I-12 right now. Again, the area that is most impacted by this is between Madisonville and Beatico. I know I'm focusing on the North Shore. They were my biggest concern because they had this tornado warning in effect there, and it did look concerning as far as the winds, but I don't want to neglect our entire area. We just had a caller asking, one of my producers asking about Washington Parish. Washington Parish looking fine right now. I don't expect that this tornado warned storm will make it much longer, let alone all the way to Folsom or north of Folsom into Washington Parish. Right now, Washington Parish is seeing some of the lighter rain, honestly. And while you may have some strong winds as this line kind of blows through, I don't expect you to have the big issues that we're seeing down along the lake, again, between Madisonville and Beatico. What I do expect is that we may have some issues south of the lake. Let's take a look. I'm going to put the last 15 minutes into a loop here. And I do want to scroll down to our river parishes. Luling, you guys have just gotten blasted. Some heavy rain continues to move east toward Ama, just east of Destrehan. This area is under a flash flood warning, and that flash flood warning goes through 6 a.m. So another 3 hours. Not that we expect you to necessarily be seeing this heaviest of the rain for the next 3 hours. My hope is that this continues to push eastward and hopefully quickly, because as it moves east, it's heading into Kenner, Metairie, New Orleans, and this is going to be producing some heavy rain. Also want to take a look at velocities here because Viper is picking up on a strong storm, possibly some rotation. So that's just an indication for me to keep an eye on this. And actually, there we do have possibly a little bit of rotation. There you can see some outbound winds coming away from the radar, some inbound winds going toward the radar, possibly a little rotation there just northeast of Destrehan. I'm going to use Viper's shear path to get an idea of where those strongest winds have been. You can see just on the western side of Luling, crossing the river into Destrehan, those little patches of red, not quite as defined as what we saw north of the lake, but certainly some strong winds associated with that storm. And that'll be something that I am watching as I continue to watch this area here just on the western side of Madisonville. Again, folks in Madisonville have been woken up twice now this morning, hopefully tuning in to see that first time was not a huge issue. We had a couplet or an area of winds moving toward the radar, winds moving away from the radar, indicating that rotation. That moved inland and weakened, no problem. The second stronger storm started pushing inland, and wow, it really got strong right there as it moved inland, possibly that transition from water to land, enhancing that storm instead of weakening it. And then it continued moving. Now it appears to be near nearing I-12 as it has just crossed through those neighborhoods between Madisonville and Beatico along Highway 22. So just for your reference, this line right here is Highway 22. This dark red area is the strongest of the winds. So the areas that I expect are being impacted right now, I'm going to jump a little ahead of where radar is because remember, radar is not perfect. It does take time for that beam to come out and get back. We're talking seconds, if not minutes, minutes, if not seconds, I should say. But this should be coming up on Brewster Road here. And it looks as though the rotation is weakening. The National Weather Service has expired that tornado warning. I still suspect that we are seeing a little bit of wind activity there along I-12. But the good news is that tornado warning, again, appears to have expired. Let's go ahead and take a look. I just heard my alarms going off again. I want to make sure before I let you go that we are not seeing any continued problems on either side of the lake. Again, right now, it appears, looking at this shear rate, there might have been another area kind of coming off the lake just outside of that tornado warning that is making its way toward I-12 as well. But looking at this, it appears that rotation that we were initially watching, I'm going to roll back so we can see it very clearly. As it moved toward Highway 22, a strong storm producing some strong winds, possibly in excess of 50 or 60 miles per hour. Then it moved up toward I-12. It's going to start moving toward the Goodby area here soon on the northern side of I-12. Looking at this other area of rotation, doesn't look like much compared to this one that was just west of Madisonville, but let's roll forward in time because that was actually at about 3 a.m. That was about 10 minutes ago. Rolling forward in time, you see how this area weakened, but this area I'm watching as it gets closer to I-12, possibly a little bit of tightening. This still does not scream tornado to me, but it does tell me that there's a little bit of rotation, and I've noticed it increasing over the last couple of frames of radar. So right there along I-12 is kind of where we have two spots to watch. This would be moving more toward the Covington area. And again, this is not tornado warned. As of this time, the National Weather Service has said that they are going to allow this storm to expire. I'm just getting an alert that the Storm Prediction Center, as far as considering a watch, a tornado watch for this area, is saying that the chances of them issuing a watch are about 20%. This was largely a wind event and a flood event, but we certainly are seeing both this morning. So strong winds there moving through the Madisonville area. We do still have an area that I'm watching south of the lake in the river parishes, St. Charles Parish right now, as this heavy rain begins to move toward Kenner. Let's go ahead and take a look at those rain rates. You guys are getting real familiar with Viper and all of its tools over the past few weeks. This is the third time I have had to talk about this. But again, a flash flood warning is in effect. This is going to be pretty much for St. Charles Parish as it moves into Kenner, Chateau Estates, Ama, Wagaman. Those are some of the areas who could be affected next. Remember, when I look at this map, purple is a problem. That's the easiest way to remember it. Purple is seeing 4 inches of rain an hour. Now, if this storm sits over you for an hour, that's a problem. If it doesn't, if it only sits over you for 15 minutes, that translates down to an inch in 15 minutes, which could still be a problem. So certainly looking at some heavy rain over our river parishes. Again, that tornado warning north of the lake has been allowed to expire as the shear on that has weakened. Looking at our shear path, just to give you another picture of exactly how this happened, we had storm number 1 coming in, weakened immediately upon reaching land. That prompted the first tornado warning of the morning. Storm number 2 coming inland, strengthened as it moved inland, and certainly caused likely some strong winds and possibly a little bit of damage. I think that may need to be an area that the Weather Service surveys later today between Madisonville and Beatico along Highway 22. And then this third area that I'm keeping an eye on, notice it doesn't look as severe as this second storm, but storm number 3, if you will, came off the lake and keeps intermittently producing some strong winds that I think need to be kept an eye on. That's going to be moving toward Covington. I am going to let you go at this point. We are seeing, oh, you know what? I'm getting a report from Zach Fridella, who lives on the North Shore in this area, getting some strong gusty winds in his area, and he's just confirming that again. It looked like a water spout coming inland. Certainly that second one had some strengthening once it got inland, but these other two don't look as impressive and certainly are not something to worry about at this time. So again, that tornado warning has expired. I think they're just letting it kind of run out through that 3:15 time. There is still a flash flood warning in effect for St. Charles Parish. Should anything more develop, I will absolutely hop back on as I promised you last time. But right now it appears that what we're dealing with is a heavy rain situation that will be crossing the South Shore. And we're dealing with some little rotations that continue to just come off of Lake Pontchartrain. If I look at that a little more closely, looks like we don't really have any others there near the North Shore. So that might have been the last one. For those of you in the Madisonville area who I asked to get in your safe place, you are safe to come out now. There may be damage outside. If there are any down power lines, please remember, do not touch them. And it's probably not safe to let the kids go outside right now. You want to just stay indoors until the sun comes up and you can kind of assess what's going on. So last thing I'm watching is that flash flood warning, which again is over St. Charles Parish right now. Very heavy rainfall going on there. Folks there, should you have any reports, should you have any problems, I encourage you not to try and drive on a flooded roadway, and staying put here at 3:15 in the morning is a good idea. But hopefully this rain gets moving, and as it starts to move into Kenner, Metairie, New Orleans, it keeps moving and we don't see widespread problems, but problems may be starting to occur in that Hahnville, Norco area. Luling is an area I'm specifically watching, Destrehan, Ama, and then ultimately the storm again will be moving into Kenner, where there is not a flood warning just yet, possibly the very western sides of Kenner in that flood warning. But generally speaking, you know, Chateau Estates, Esplanade Mall, those areas not included in the flood warning just yet because that rain isn't quite to you yet, but it is coming. All that said, I am going to let you go. Hopefully, I don't see you guys until 4:30 this morning, which is when Fox 8 Morning Edition starts. But should anything pop up that concerns me weather-wise, I will absolutely hop back on here, so you can always check here or on our Fox 8 weather app. If your power should go out, you can watch us online at fox8live.com/live as well. And we will be here for you. We're continuing to watch, but at this time, no tornado warnings in effect. Flash flood warning for St. Charles.
From Fox 8, your weather authority, this was a severe weather update, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency, family to family, business to business since 1954.
Definitely.
From Fox 8, your weather authority, this is a severe weather update, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency, family to family, business to business since 1954.
Welcome back, guys. We are looking at that storm that we were watching there on the south shore of Lake Pontchartrain. We were watching several storms north of Lake Pontchartrain, but on the south shore of Lake Pontchartrain, we also had this area that we were watching largely for flooding, but also for some rotation. A tornado warning just issued on this storm. And again, I think it's kind of riding the western edge of this area. This is where we're seeing that possible rotation. This is going to be moving right over, it appears, Chateau Estates before it makes its way out into the lake. So this is almost a non-issue, but this again could be affecting folks there in the Chateau Estates area. This looks like a broader rotation to me. Doesn't look very tight. However, I do want to go ahead and switch it over to our storm relative velocity just to keep an eye on where this may be. Maybe right in the Esplanade Mall area. And just looking at kind of the broader rotation here, we may have in the vicinity of 35 to 50 miles per hour of shear. So that is certainly something to keep an eye on. Again, it appears to be a broader rotation to me right over kind of Esplanade Mall, Chateau Estates area. If you are in that area north of I-10 heading toward the lake, that is somewhere in Jefferson Parish that you want to be in your safe place right now. If you are south of that area, you know, spots like River Ridge and Ama are technically included in this tornado warning. Please go back to bed. I'm not concerned about those areas south of Kenner. I'm not concerned about Lafreniere Park. I'm not concerned about most of Kenner. It's really that Chateau Estates area right near the northwestern portion of Kenner. Right near the portion of Kenner, again near Esplanade Mall. That's where, if we have a tornado, it would be occurring. Again, compared to what I just saw on the North Shore, this couplet is not particularly impressive to me right now, although we could be seeing some strong winds. Some of those inbound winds right now showing us, let's go ahead and query some of those just to get an idea. I'm seeing 20 to 30 miles per hour inbound, possibly 10 to 15 miles outbound. That combines for about 30 to 40 miles per hour of shear. So again, I don't see this as a very tight circulation. This is likely a severe thunderstorm that could be producing a weak spin up, but as it moves out over the lake, it will likely have a better chance to produce a water spout. So folks crossing the causeway in the next 20 minutes or so, maybe keeping an eye on this one. For folks in the central or southern portions of Kenner, go back to bed. If you're in Ama, River Ridge, parts of Metairie, if this woke you up, go back to bed. This is for Chateau Estates. This is for Esplanade. I am sorry if I don't issue these warnings. This is from the National Weather Service, and they're just trying to keep you safe, guys. So again, I am here to tell you, based on my analysis, that areas in the central portion of Kenner and southward, River Ridge, Ama, Metairie, if a warning for a tornado woke you up this morning, so you turned on Fox 8 to see what's going on, go back to bed. There is some heavy rain heading our way. That may keep you up anyway. And there may be a couple of strong storms that may develop otherwise. But this specific tornado warning, again, is for the Chateau Estates area, the Esplanade Mall area. It is about to move out over the lake. So this, again, I think the National Weather Service will likely cancel here soon. And I just want to emphasize Pontchartrain Shores, Lafreniere Park, Kenner, LaSalle Park. If you're in any of these or near any of these locations, River Ridge, Live Oak Harbor, Ama, you may have gotten woken up by this tornado warning, but you can go back to sleep because the rotation is north of you. And that's what I try to provide for you guys, is just a little bit of extra information on these warnings so that you're not waking up your kids, you're not getting into a safe place when it's unnecessary. I think for folks in the Chateau Estates area, you should be away from windows. But again, it appears to me that this rotation is broader. It's not as tight as you would typically see the strong winds of a tornado being. And then as it moves out over the lake, it may get stronger, but then it's over the lake and it's not a problem for our folks inland. So that's what we're watching. Again, I want to show you the big picture. We do still have that flash flood warning going for St. Charles Parish. Looking at our reflectivity on a bigger map, the heaviest rain is kind of snaking right through our river parishes and down through our bayou parishes. This is all, if I put it on a 15-minute loop, and I'm going to step off real quick to grab a little sip of water here. If I put it on a 15-minute loop, what you notice is that we are going to have some heavy rain slowly sliding eastward. Again, this is a 15-minute loop, and you're not seeing a whole lot of movement over the last 15 to 30 minutes. In fact, I'll go ahead and put this on a longer loop for you. Let's put it on an hour loop and see how things have kind of transpired over the last hour. I don't see a whole lot of movement in the last hour. So this is concerning that this line is slowing down and is moving eastward. It appears the National Weather Service did cancel that tornado warning, but they're saying that nope, they haven't canceled it yet. But there is a severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, here's what I think they're going to end up doing. I think that this is going to end up moving out over the lake. They'll drop the tornado warning for the area that's highlighted in pink and likely keep it as a severe thunderstorm warning. But we technically have to wait for them to do that. Again, I see the rotation right now is still right over Chateau Estates. It's about to move out over the lake. Again, as far as any shear, it appears to be very broad to me. You can probably tell in my tone that I'm less concerned with this one than I certainly was with the one north of the lake. But we could be seeing, 30 to 50 miles per hour of wind here. That folks there certainly will wake up to. It's going to rattle the windows. It's going to make a little noise, but it continues to weaken. There's the latest frame of radar now, again, pushing that storm farther north. Our producers are letting me know that we're getting a few calls, so let me just check, see what they're saying. Okay. Caller just said his area of Luling never floods, but it's starting to right now. That's really interesting. My producer Madison letting me know that someone called in from the Luling area saying they never see flooding, but they are seeing flooding now. And fortunately, Luling is about to get out. They're out of the worst of the rain. But there's still some moderate to heavy rain falling. That's why this flash flood warning was issued for that area. And actually, Luling was one of the spots I was watching most closely because look, over the last hour, I mean, they got a lot of rain and it's just starting to ease up. And some of those rain rates were to the tune of 4 inches an hour. So it's not out of the question. We can look at the rainfall accumulation over, say, the last 6 hours. And you can see they received in that kind of orangey area just on the western side of Luling, possibly 3 to 4 inches as indicated by Viper. So that indicates to me that we definitely have some heavy rain that continues to fall and that already has fallen. My concern going forward is for Kenner, Metairie, New Orleans, the West Bank. This is going to all be shifting slowly eastward. What I'd love to see is for this to kick into high gear and get moving, because if you've been following the news, we have seen heavy rain causing problems all the way back to Lake Charles, who saw catastrophic flooding. Lafayette had flood warnings issued. Parts of Baton Rouge also seeing some dramatic flooding in the overnight hours. And now this storm line is moving into southeast Louisiana. It looks as though the North Shore is going to be spared the very worst of the rain. They did have a couple of tornado warnings near the Madisonville area this morning, but I expect that this will likely be the spared area, at least for now, of our North Shore. Tangipahoa Parish really not looking too bad. A couple of light to moderate showers right now. A couple of heavy downpours in the Mandeville-Covington area, but not a whole lot of heavy rain. Washington Parish looking at some light rain right now. But concerning to me that we had a caller into the Fox 8 newsroom that parts of Luling that apparently never flood, starting to see some flooding issues. Please be careful in those areas about driving down any flooded roadway. It's 3:30 in the morning. My hope is that a lot of folks are sleeping right through this. The water's not going to become such a big issue that folks are still not able to drive come the rush hour. But it does look like this is a slow moving system now pushing into parts of Kenner. So we will be watching certainly Jefferson Parish for any indication of flooding. Should a flood warning be issued or should I see any high rainfall rates that concern me? I will absolutely hop back on here. Let's just take a quick look at the rain rates. We're seeing that purple is a problem. And you can see some of those high rain rates over the Chateau Estates area and the Esplanade Mall area. That's where this tornado warning was issued for. I never saw any particularly strong rotation. Even Viper's shear path marker, which did an excellent job of picking up on the rotation coming off of Lake Pontchartrain and into western St. Tammany Parish, I mean, really struggled with this rotation. You can see possibly now moving out over the lake. You know, we'll keep an eye here, but I think this is now over Lake Pontchartrain. So I suspect that the National Weather Service will discontinue that tornado warning. A marine warning is still in effect. So let's go ahead and sign off here. I will still be, from my understanding, I will still be streaming from our app and on fox8live.com. I'm going to sign off of Fox 8 for now, but should anything else pop up, as I've been doing all morning, I will hop back on for you again. It appears we may have some flooding issues in St. Charles Parish, so I encourage you to stay off the roadways there. And if you'd like some more information or a little look behind the scenes, you can certainly continue to watch from our Fox 8 weather app or on fox8live.com.
From Fox 8, your weather authority, this was a severe weather update, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency, family to family, business to business since 1954.
Below the speed is approaching about 660 because depending on your altitude, that is around where